Welcome back, everybody, to Filmbox. I'm your host, Tyler Edwards, and today I am going to be discussing the Bad Batch Season 1 opener, which released yesterday on May the 4th. As you can see behind me, and as you can see on my shirt and the posters behind me of Empire and Return of the Jedi, I am a big Star Wars fan, and I always get excited whenever a new project is announced, whenever there's a new show. Given the last 5 or so years, whenever there is something announced, I am excited but also hesitant given some of the things that have been put out. However, I am always excited to see projects helmed by Dave Filoni and that group of creatives over at Disney. Mostly because, to give a little backstory before we dive into the review, I grew up in the era of Clone Wars. That was like one of the biggest things that got me and a lot of kids my age and a lot of my friends into Star Wars was the movies. The prequels had just ended. We were really young, like maybe toddlers when the prequels were out. And all we had really was the Clone Wars. I remember when the movie came, the movie for the Clone Wars came out, I wanted to go see it because it was like, oh, God, it's Star Wars, it's a new Star Wars movie. And then, of course, but I never saw it. I saw it when I got older, and I was like, this kind of sucks. Well, I got older, that's why. But the show, the movie might have been bad, but I will say the show, the 7 seasons that, really the 6 original seasons they gave us, really was big on my childhood. Or at least maybe I'd say the first 4 seasons, and then after that, like most of us my age, we kind of... After season 4, we were like starting middle school, so we kind of like quit watching Clone Wars because that's not cool to watch a kid's show anymore. So we kind of all fell off the wagon, and eventually, of course, Clone Wars was canceled. But I will say, when they announced the season 7 to Clone Wars and a conclusion, it was a big deal to a lot of people my age and Star Wars fans around the world. And I remember a year ago watching the finale of season 7, and again, it was one of those moments where I felt like, my childhood, it's gone now. It's over. Like, it was just like, it was something where I was like, well, pack it up, time to go. It was fun to have a childhood while it lasted. But no, it was a great show and a great ending to that show. However, now we're getting into the Bad Batch, and we're seeing all these characters, and we're being brought back into this Clone Wars era. And, yeah, so without further ado, and keep adding on, let's get into Star Wars' new show, The Bad Batch. I love all 5 of these clones. Well, I love 4 of them at least. I love Hunter, Tech, Echo, and Wrecker. The beginning of the episode starts off with this Clone Wars battle. You have the Jedi, and her, I forget the Jedi's name, but you have the Jedi and her clone squad are fighting enemy droids. And she's like, we need reinforcements. I sent my apprentice to get reinforcements. And then we see the reinforcements arrive. It's the Bad Batch. It's that group of 5 clones that I just mentioned. And then we see the Padawan is none other than, if you've watched Star Wars Rebels, Kanan Jarrus, or as he's known in the Clone Wars before Order 66, Caleb Doom. Though immediately the Bad Batch quickly dismantle the droids, and then the Bad Batch, or Hunter, asks the kid if he's game to go fight some more droids, and the kid goes, well, yeah, of course, I'm ready, I was born ready, just something along those lines. And then he starts running off with the Bad Batch, and then you see the Jedi, his master. You see behind her her clone commander. Execute Order 66. Sorry, that's a really bad Palpatine impression, but just hang on with me. It's probably going to happen. I'm probably going to do that one again later on in this episode. I pray not, for the viewer's sake, but for my sake, I also hope not. Anyways, Order 66 happens. I don't know. I don't mean to smile at Order 66. It's horrible, but it's something that we have now seen again a year later. We saw it last year with Ahsoka and Rex, and now we're seeing it with this Jedi. But this Jedi, of course, Caleb turns around. He sees, like, he goes back to try to help her, but she tells him to run. And of course, he's confused. Clones are firing. But the Bad Batch, they're also confused. Because they're not like regular clones. They have certain traits that make them a valuable asset to the Republic. Crosshair's the sharpshooter. Hunter is like a Rambo-type clone. Wrecker is basically a human wrecking ball. Tech is a genius. And Echo, really, he was a regular clone trooper. If you grew up watching Clone Wars, if you've watched the show, Echo is a normal clone. But he is, in this show, he's brought into in season 7, he's brought into the Bad Batch, and he's still now a part of this team, even though he was what was once considered a reg, or, regular clone. Anyways, they're all confused, except for Crosshair. Crosshair, though, he seems more intensified version of the Order 66, so he seems more, yes, a good soldier follows orders. Because his clone voice, hats off to Deep Bradley Baker, the guy who voices the clones. He does a great job voicing them and giving them distinctive vocal patterns. It was very creepy whenever Crosshair would do something like that, just give the order. We're good soldiers follow orders. Sorry. And yeah, before I get too far into it, we're also introduced into a new spoiler, not spoiler, a new clone, but we don't know it yet, named Omega, or Omega, as she says it. We come to find out by Tech, or Tech says, well, yeah, she's a clone. Did you not realize it? She's the 5th Bad Batch member, because Echo, he's a regular clone. That can't be, he was a regular clone, but he's now more machine than man. I don't think, when they said 5 special clones, I don't think he was one of them. It was Crosshair, Hunter, Tech, and Wrecker, and Omega. And of course, they are then tasked, Governor Tarkin, or Grand Moff Tarkin, before he's Grand Moff Tarkin. Tarkin is there to observe the clones. He doesn't really like the clones. He's already mentioning that it'd be more cost effective to not use clones. So he sees what the Bad Batch can do, and he thinks those would be a wonderful asset to the Empire. So he sends them on a mission to destroy insurgents on a planet, not Alderaan, but Onderon. It's either Onderon or it is Alderaan, but I cannot. I could, even with subtitles, just nothing. So if you, in the comments, if you know it was Alderaan or Onderon, just let me know. Again, it's one of those things where at first I thought it was Alderaan, but then people keep saying Onderon, so I think it's Onderon. So Onderon, they go there, the Bad Batch go there, and they're looking where the insurgents are camped. And there you see that it's just villagers, and then eventually they're called Republic. Hunter goes, these are Republic forces, and then we're reintroduced to Saw Gerrera. This is pre-Rogue One Saw Gerrera. He still looks like how he did in the Clone Wars, because Saw Gerrera was mentioned in the Clone Wars before he was like all, I want the pilot. Like Forrest Whitaker's kind of version of Saw Gerrera. So this is still fighting, like a premier fighting shape, Saw Gerrera. And then we see the clones leave them, let them go. They don't kill them. Crosshair wants to, but because the inhibitor chip in his head is still wanting to, because for those that don't know, there's the inhibitor chip that is placed in all the clones. That's why they execute Order 66. They all and killed the Jedi. And that is something that Crosshair, throughout this whole episode, was facing. Eventually, after this mission, we find out that Tarkin was spying on them using one of those droids from Empire that found out the Rebel base on Hoth. One of those droids, not spider droids, but one of those weird little kind of droids, they make that noise. Again, I don't know what they're called. I've seen them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that thing. Hunter shoots it down, and then they go back to Kamino, and they're captured. Tarkin tells them to throw them in the brig, and when they get thrown in the brig, they go back because at this point the reason why they go back to Kamino is because they want to rescue Omega. So they go back, and they're put into a holding cell. And who happens to be there but Omega? Omega was placed there anyways, now they're all back together and we're having to go. And then one of the guards asks for Crosshair. So Crosshair goes with them. And then we see that Tarkin he's the only one of this Bad Batch that didn't resist Order 66. So how can we use him? And yeah, it was kind of simple in that sense, or not simple. Tarkin then uses, operates, not himself, but he allows the operation for Crosshair's inhibitor chip, like that kind of mind control thing, to be enhanced. So now he's more of a puppet for the Empire than he used to be, or than he was. More so than a normal clone. And at the end of the episode, we see Crosshair, the Bad Batch escape with Omega, and they're going back to their ship. And then they're confronted by Crosshair. And Crosshair, he's like, well, I gotta do what I gotta do. And he starts shooting at the Bad Batch. He shoots he shoots Wrecker. And then he almost shoots Hunter when blaster bolt hits his gun and takes the gun out of his hand. Shoots the gun out of his hand. And then we look to see Omega had fired the shot. We had not seen Omega do anything really special, but the fact that she had sharpshooting skills was truly impressive. Then they all get on their ship. The Bad Batch get on the ship and fly away, leaving Crosshairs behind and all these other new Imperial clone troopers. And the end of the episode is probably one of my favorite new shots in Star Wars. We get to see the stars in Omega's eyes as she's placed in the cockpit, and they take off to light speed. End credits. And that was pretty much the rundown of this episode. And now I will just kind of talk about things that I like, things that I don't like. Not even things that I like, things that I don't like, but I'll just talk about overall what I would rate this episode at. So, not so subtle transition away. Bad Batch Episode 1 is, out of all the things that has released from Disney Plus, and it's not fair. It's Star Wars and Marvel. That's comparing apples to oranges. I think Marvel so far their shows had weaker opening episodes, but Star Wars, I tell you, Dave Filoni and his team know how to write for these characters. It is truly beautiful to see that, because I thought, like, with Omega as a character, I thought I would have hated her because she's a girl, that's not, but because, a kid character being brought amongst these, like, hardened clones. It's like, is she going to be the damsel character? Is she not going to be able to take it? Nope. And I think she's going to be I think she has the potential to be one of the best new characters in Star Wars. Not only that, but the best new female characters in Star Wars. Considering how much reverence people place on Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, Padme, Leia, and Rey to an extent. A lot of people like Rey. I liked Rey. I just think her characterization in the last movie was a little trash. But I think that I have my nitpicks for Rise of Skywalker to be saved for another day. Or another May. I might do a May the 4th review next year. Good Lord willing, they don't keep making stuff. Well, they probably will. They've got a lot on their slate. Overall, I thought this episode was great. I thought that the characters were great. The story was great. I love seeing Order 66 happen again. I'm a sucker for the Clone Wars era, and I'm kind of glad to see now we get to see what happens immediately after Revenge of the Sith, because that is something that's never been explored. We have never seen post-Revenge of the Sith explored unless it's like 5 years before, like Rebels takes place 5 years before A New Hope. So we see the before the New Hope era, but we don't see the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars. And I would love to see how this show keeps tackling that issue, see if they keep phasing out clones. And I can't wait to see more. We get a new episode Friday, so stay tuned. There will be a review for that. If you haven't checked out any of my other reviews, last Friday I put up a review for Invincible, and I'm still working on 2 podcasts in the workings. I have 2 podcasts in the works, one being a spoiler pod for Invincible, and another being a spoiler pod for Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is why I haven't done a review for it, because I was trying to save it for a podcast. But yeah, so overall I give this show a 9 out of 10. The reason why it's not really, you know what? 9.5 out of 10. I think the only problem I had really was Crosshairs. He just came off as a dick. That's fine. That's the character he's going to play, and I can't wait to see him kind of be the main antagonist of this show. But overall, so what did you guys think? Did you like The Bad Batch? Did you grow up watching Clone Wars? Did you not grow up watching Clone Wars? Have you watched all the Star Wars stuff, or have you only seen the new movies? Either way, I would love to know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you for watching. Click that subscribe button. It really helps me out as a content creator. Actually, I don't even want to say that yet. I have like 13 subscribers, which I'm thankful for. But until I get like a lot more, or if I get a lot more, I don't want to say content creator. It makes me feel pretentious. Thank you for checking out my video. I do appreciate it. And as always, thank you all for watching, and treat people with kindness.